see this kind of red here? You have those counties here without splitting county lines. It comes up to about 109,000. You see these? These up here, Wirt, Wirt, Wood, Ritchie, and Pleasant. That also adds up to 109,000, approximately. You know, give or take a few hundred. So I worked many hours getting these figures to get them to work, but they do work. Now, the counties, for example, Kanawha County. Kanawha County should have not been guaranteed for state senators. I submitted a plan 10 years ago, which was sponsored by former Senator John Blair Hunter. I said, give us one senatorial district that is wholly within Kanawha County that is 1/17 of the state's population. Give us another senatorial district that is half in Putnam County and half in Kanawha. So that just will elect one senator from Kanawha and one senator from Putnam. That will give us 3. Give us a shot, but no guarantee, of a 4th senator by putting the rural northeastern part of the county together with Mason, Jackson, Roan, and Calhoun. And you add that together again, you're near 109,000. I'm not going to go over the entire state, but the point is certainly Kanawha County shouldn't be given this overlapping thing that it was given years ago. It was a question of gross procrastination by the state Senate. The reason we have an overlapping state senatorial district was after the U.S. Supreme Court decision of Baker v. Carr in the early 1960s, they realized that under the state constitution, Kanawha County can only have 2 state senators, but under the federal constitution, as interpreted by federal courts, you had to give us something closer to 1 person, 1 vote. So between right in the mid-60s, they superimposed the 17th. See, the last number they gave before the 17th was the 16th. So what should have been a stopgap measure, which just should have extended until the next census of having the 17th and the 8th overlap, what has been going on now ever since the mid-60s, and it doesn't make any sense. It also doesn't make any sense in terms of renumbering, because you would think if you had 2 districts in the same county, they would probably be consecutive numbers. So what I've done, in addition to coming up with these plans, is to renumber the districts. The first would be the top 3 and part of the 4th county in the northern panhandle. The second would be the remainder of Marshall County and several counties here. The third would be Wood County and those counties. And the 4th would be Mason, Jackson. Now that's pretty much, those numbers are pretty clear near what we're doing now. But since under my plan would also be bringing in part of Kanawha County, I suggested the logical thing would be to have the district that had Putnam and part of Kanawha together would be number 5, and then the one that had the southern part of Kanawha County to be number 6, and then this district here be 7, then 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12 will be here, and 13 will be here, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I'll make a bunch of changes. But the point is, Wayne County does not need to be split. It was split. It was the wrong county to split. It doesn't make sense, I think, from the perspective of Cabell County to limit itself to a maximum of 1 state senator when it has about 1.75 or 1.8 times the population of 1/34 of the state Senate. It doesn't make sense for Cabell. It doesn't make sense for Wayne. So it doesn't make sense for Kanawha County to be all 1 district. It doesn't make sense for Monongalia County, but Monongalia isn't in 1 district right now. It's in 3, like Wayne County. So anyway, I would like to submit this to Senator Unger to add to your submissions on your website, and when they print out my clarified version, I guess we'll call that Cooper Plan 2, since this is the Cooper Plan 1, and I thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation.
I think the word of the day is become incumbents. I'm not trying to protect any incumbents. When I say 17 years, I just want to make it clear, I've been in Cabell County for 17 years. And that 17 years, you're a freshman, junior, House delegate?
Junior.
I guess Senator Jean, you would be actually, you went from the House to the Senate, so you would be actually the junior senator to Senator Plowman. However that works, but we've gone through different senators, Republican, Democrat, delegates the same way. I don't want anybody to think that it's been trying to save anybody's incumbent's job. I mean, we have gone through, well, Marie Red and of course Shelley's Bonnie, I guess she's not here. But there's been other people. When I take exception to the numbers thing, with no offense to the gentleman, but when you're dividing things up and you're saying, well, just put these people here and this people here, then you're making people numbers, not people. We're not human anymore. We're just part of the system. And I think that needs to be changed, where if you're elected to represent that district, it doesn't matter. I don't know where he lives. I don't know whether he lives 20 miles from me or an hour from me. It shouldn't matter. If he's elected to represent me, then he should be out there representing me. And that would go with Senator Plymel or Delegate Reynolds, Delegate Stevens not here, Delegate Sabanya. I understand in some of these, and I've lived in Kanawha, I'm from Kanawha County. And Kanawha County has the same problems as opposed to the Charleston area, seems to be well represented. But then you get out to Coonskin Park, Riverside, that area, Milligan. I can understand where and it goes back to, I think we need more rather than needing less. I don't see how the people, and they're sitting here, so I have to address to them, but what are we talking, 90,000? How many people do you represent?
110,000.
106,000?
What do you think, David?
So it's 106,000? I mean, that just boggles my mind. I'm learning here. I mean, I'm here to learn. It boggles my mind because that's 106,000 people was divided up, and my math wasn't one of my best subjects, but 80,000 apiece. That's a lot of people.
All of them.
Well, not all people all the time. Well, it should be all people all the time. We wouldn't do that. But I just wanted to make sure no one thought that I was thinking about saving anyone's incumbency job. It's the fact that I can speak, I think, for Salt Rock. Lincoln County has their own problems. I don't see us being divided up into Lincoln County. If the U.S. Senate Census people would come to you and say, I can tell you right, because they've been to my house 14 times plus. If I let them come to my house one more time, I might ask them to call you. Seriously, if they could come to you and say, we're not getting the right figures on this, because these addresses are messed up, we don't know how many people we're guessing this is how many people we have.
Joe, I don't know, has that ever happened, the U.S. Census comes out with revision?
There has been revisions in West Virginia. In fact, there was in the 2000 census, and that dealt with the women's prison down in Mercer. Is it Mercer?
Monroe and Summers.
Pardon?
Monroe and Summers.
Yeah, Monroe and Summers, because it spans across the county lines, and they had actually given an entire population to one of the counties, and there was a revision made, but it's that has to be done through the Department of Commerce in Washington. They have to go through red tape for that to be done, and then the state is informed about the revisions before we went into our special session for redistricting last time. We do have some issues with the numbers in West Virginia, but this isn't the first. We've had major issues with the population in West Virginia in the past. There are some good things that I think are important to bring up, that we are getting a lot of people counted in West Virginia that we didn't in the past. If you would look in some of the very, very rural mountainous areas of West Virginia, back in the 2000 census, in fact, Senator Love, where he lived, and for a couple hundred miles around him, no one lived there. He did not exist. But yet thousands of people did. We have got numbers for those areas now because with the new technology, when the census people went out this time to count in those rural areas, they were sent out with GPS devices. So not only did they have to really go out
Not
there,
all of them may have used their GPS.
right, but this is the point. The people that were watching them and looking at the GPS devices knew they weren't sitting at home with their pieces of paper writing stuff down. They knew that they were out in these areas of West Virginia, and they were getting new addressing from these mountains and stuff. We do have some very serious problems still with some numbers that didn't
Is that
count.
something that can be addressed, though, through the United States Postal Service?
Well, it's not really.
You're the guru of this.
Well, what happened this time, and we have this going on in West Virginia too, it was because of the E911 addressing a lot of the errors were made. Because we had some states that were completely finished, and then we have the state of West Virginia where we do have some counties that have completed their E911. We have some counties that have not completed it. So there was a lot of addressing issues going on.
Well, Mayor Wolf could probably address it as when you were sheriff. You couldn't do a lot of these kind of things.
Because the
Where he was
address,
sent out to Raccoon or some of these rural areas in his deputies, I mean,
and I totally
Good luck.
understand. I know when Senator Manchin was Secretary of State, and they had gotten a statewide database for the county offices. He had called me one day and he says, I need you to tell us what the how the geographics work as far as, tell me where Route 1 box X through Route 1 box Z, how that flows. And all I could do was laugh, and I said, I'm sorry, Secretary. In West Virginia and a lot of the rural areas, when the people move, they take their addresses with them.
that's what happened.
No, seriously, it does happen in
That's
West
what
Virginia.
the post office told us to do. When I first moved where I was and had the property, when I bought the property behind me, the mailman is the one that said, just take your mailbox and move.
They do, and people
And
think
so
a
that's
joke.
what I did, and that's what everybody did. And that's why nobody can find anybody.
And the secretary, so he, there's been some issues with the county clerks, and I totally understand with the statewide database we have, because the example they showed was from the state of Rhode Island, who had completely did their E911, and everybody had a street number, and everything was just like so perfect. Well, that's not the same in West Virginia, which causes problems. The best thing we can do in West Virginia, and I got out and promoted it myself a lot, because even though I worked for the legislature, I became a partner with the census last time. I went out and spoke to different groups and different communities and stuff, and I told the people, if the Census Bureau has not contacted you and got your numbers, then by golly, you contact them and you give them their numbers. We've got to, where there's errors, but as citizens, we also have to take responsibility. We want to be counted. We want one person, one vote.
And some people understand that.
And some people do.
The only thing I'm asking Senator Flymore or Senator Young to take into consideration, before you make a final decision, I would just respectfully ask that you check the numbers.